Your body is keeping score of every grudge you've ever held, and the cost is higher than you think. Every person you refuse to forgive becomes a tab running in the background of your mind, burning energy you could be spending on literally anything else. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly why holding on to resentment is the most expensive habit you have, and why the person who hurt you benefits the least from your forgiveness. Think about the last time someone genuinely wronged you. A betrayal, a lie that cost you something real. You can probably still feel it right now, sitting in your chest like a stone you swallowed years ago. That feeling has a weight, and you've been carrying it everywhere. To work, to bed, into new relationships, into rooms that have nothing to do with the person who put it there. Researchers at Stanford conducted a forgiveness study where participants practiced structured forgiveness exercises over several weeks. The people who learned to forgive showed lower blood pressure, reduced muscle tension, and improved immune function. Their bodies physically changed. The person who wronged them didn't apologize, didn't show up, didn't even know the study existed. The healing happened entirely inside the person who let go. That detail matters more than it seems. We treat forgiveness like it's a transaction between two people. Someone hurts you, they apologize. You accept, the ledger clears. But most real damage doesn't follow that script. The person who hurt you might never apologize. They might not think they did anything wrong. They might be dead, and if forgiveness requires their participation, you've just handed the keys to your emotional state to someone who may never use them. So what's actually happening when you hold a grudge? Your mind replays the event. Each replay triggers a stress response, the same cascade of tension and elevated heart rate you felt during the original event. Your body can't tell the difference between remembering a threat and experiencing one. So every time you mentally revisit that betrayal, you're chemically reliving it. You're dosing yourself with the same cocktail of stress hormones. On purpose, repeatedly. Picture a boat trying to sail forward with an anchor dragging along the ocean floor. The engine runs, fuel burns, the boat moves, barely. From the outside, everything looks functional. From inside, every mile takes 3 times the effort it should. That anchor is resentment. And the ocean floor is the past. You can redecorate the boat, new sails, fresh paint, better crew. The drag remains until you cut the chain. Most people misunderstand what forgiveness actually requires. They think forgiving means saying what happened was acceptable. It means agreeing the other person was right. It means letting them back into your life. Every one of those beliefs is wrong, and every one of them keeps the anchor firmly planted. Forgiveness is a release. Full stop. You're releasing yourself from the obligation to keep replaying, keep analyzing, keep rehearsing what you should have said. The other person's role in this process is zero. A therapist once framed it this way: resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to get sick. You've probably heard that line before, but sit with the mechanics of it. Your body doesn't know the difference between real danger and remembered danger. So when you carry anger towards someone who wronged you 5 years ago, your physiology is still braced for a threat that ended 5 years ago. You're running a defense system against a war that's over, and the energy cost is staggering. Think about your attention as a budget. You have a finite amount each day. Every unresolved resentment takes a slice, sometimes a thin slice, a passing thought, a tightness when their name comes up. Sometimes a thick one rumination spirals that eat an entire afternoon. Either way, those slices come from the same budget you'd use for creativity, presence, connection, joy. The math is simple: more resentment, less of everything else. There's a concept in psychology called the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished tasks occupy more mental space than completed ones. Your brain treats unresolved emotional injuries the same way it treats an open browser tab. It keeps pinging, keeps refreshing, keeps pulling your attention back. Forgiveness closes the tab, the memory stays, but the compulsive pull dissolves. So why is this so hard to do? Because resentment feels productive. It feels like justice. When someone hurts you and faces no consequences, your anger feels like the only accountability they'll ever face. Letting go feels like letting them win. Your grip on that grudge starts to feel like moral backbone, like if you release it, you're saying the damage didn't matter. That's the trap, and it's an elegant one. The very mechanism keeping you stuck disguises itself as strength. You feel like you're standing your ground. You're standing in quicksand. Here's what happens in practice when people commit to genuine forgiveness. A study published in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine tracked participants through an 8-week forgiveness intervention. By the end, participants reported lower anxiety and fewer depressive symptoms. They slept better. Their relationships with people completely unrelated to the original offense improved. Forgiving one person freed up capacity that spilled into every corner of their lives. The ripple effect is the part that surprises people. You'd expect forgiveness to affect how you feel about one specific person. Instead, it recalibrates your entire emotional baseline. Because resentment doesn't stay contained, it leaks. When you're carrying unresolved anger toward your father, you snap at your partner. When you're holding a grudge against an old friend, you're slower to trust new ones. The anchor drags across everything, not just the spot where it was dropped. One of the hardest parts of forgiveness is grieving what was lost. Before you can release the resentment, you have to fully acknowledge the damage. You lost trust, you lost time. You lost a version of yourself that existed before the betrayal. Skipping grief and jumping straight to "I forgive you" is spiritual bypassing. It's pasting a label over a wound that hasn't been cleaned. Real forgiveness moves through the pain, not around it, and that process looks different for everyone. For some people, it's a conversation with a therapist. For others, it's a letter they write and never send. For some, it's a single quiet decision, made in the shower on a Tuesday, to stop carrying weight that was never theirs to hold. The method matters less than the direction. Toward release, away from the replay loop. There's something uncomfortable about accepting this framework. If forgiveness is entirely for you, then every day you've spent holding on to resentment was a day you chose suffering. That retrospective guilt hits hard, but punishing yourself for past unforgiveness is just another anchor, another chain to cut. The person who wronged you occupied a moment in your timeline, maybe a month, maybe a year. The resentment has occupied every moment since. When you map it out that way, the original injury is a fraction of the total damage. You've been the architect of the rest. That's a brutal realization. It's also the most liberating one, because architecture you built is architecture you can demolish. People who've gone through genuine forgiveness describe the same sensation in different words. Lighter, clearer, like setting down a bag they'd been carrying so long they forgot it had weight. One woman in a forgiveness workshop said she'd held anger toward her mother for over 20 years. The week she truly released it, she noticed colors looked different. Food tasted different. She slept through the night for the first time in months. Her mother hadn't changed. Her mother didn't know anything had shifted. The entire transformation was internal. That's the part worth sitting with. Every resource you've been spending on maintaining that grudge, the mental bandwidth, the physical tension, the emotional vigilance, all of it comes back to you the moment you let go. You don't get it back gradually. People describe it as sudden, like a fist that's been clenched so long the fingers forgot they could open. And then they open. You probably know exactly whose name surfaced while you were listening to this. That tightness you felt, that's the chain, still taut. The anchor is still down there, dragging against everything you try to build. And the crank that pulls it up has been within arm's reach this entire time. The question was never whether you're strong enough to forgive. Holding on is what's been taking all your strength.